the agenda for today is to talk about Audacity. And it sounded like there were a number of people here who might be able to contribute to it. And I think, Frida, you were going to start off. That's the marching orders I was given.
Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting it, but that's fine.
Do you have, I
go
think,
ahead.
Can you, let me see. I think I have to set it up so anybody can share.
Oh.
And
I have never done screen sharing before, but.
Okay, well, we can show you how to do that.
Oh, goody.
Okay, so.
I've got an Audacity window open.
Okay, so if you go, so you have Audacity on your desktop?
Well, I have it in my, what do you call it, app list down at the bottom of the
Can you
screen.
bring it up on your desktop?
I'm not sure. Let's see. I just cleared off my desktop. Hold on, let me see if I can figure out how to get.
You just mean launch it, right, Ursula?
Yeah, just launch Audacity.
Okay, well, I've got some Audacity files on my desktop.
Can you just launch the software?
Oh, well, I have the software launched.
Okay. So
I mean, I have a window open. It's just, it's not showing up where you are.
Well, just go down to the bottom where it says share screen.
Aha. I've lost my Zoom window. What happened to it? There it is. Okay. So down at the bottom, you see share, let me see. I'm sorry, I don't know. Oh, wait. Share screen. I see it. Yay. Okay.
So I'll click on that.
Mm-hmm. I did.
And a window should open up and it should show what's on your desktop.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, these are some things. Oh, it just shows desktop one.
And then you may have to select which thing you want to share.
Okay. Let's see. Well,
there
this
it is.
Well, what I really want to share is this, but it's not on the desktop, I guess. It's not, well.
That's okay. I think Ursula was just using slightly different terminology.
Yeah, I think you did it because I can.
Can you see Audacity?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
We see your whole screen, by the way. So if you have any private stuff, you may want to hide it. I'm just kidding.
I don't think it's that private.
Well, can you just
read it?
Click on Audacity so that it fills the screen, so it's a little bit bigger.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Okay, great. Okay.
All right. Let me take my gum out. So this is a file I'm working on in Audacity. I did do some check. This is a fairly new computer for me, and it turned out to be 64-bit. So one of the things to know is that if you get a 64-bit instead of a 32-bit, you have to get a new version of Audacity. And at first, when I got this computer a few months ago, there was no version of Audacity that would work on it. But then miraculously, the team came up with one, and I've got it and it is working. There's some nice things about it. One of them, maybe this was in earlier versions and I didn't know it, but if somebody sends you an MP4, a video file, you can just pull it into Audacity and it opens as an audio file.
That's great.
Way helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great.
Because you can sometimes download those from something you've got permission to download it from. So another thing about this new version is that it highlights differently. So instead of highlighting as gray, it highlights as white. And there are things that are different, so there's some adaptation that has to take place. But basically, it's the same kind of thing. Now, is everybody on here already an Audacity user?
Mm-hmm.
I see. Okay, I don't see anybody saying no. All right, so then there's a lot of things that probably don't need to be explained. But I'll just tell you.
Right. But Frida, it's okay to kind of review them because we're recording this for people that may not be as accustomed. So it's, it's okay to repeat things because we'll.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
So I'll just kind of go over the features a little bit. So these features that you see on the top, they can be moved around. Unfortunately, when I first put them in place, I didn't know how to get them where I wanted them. And so they're this way, which is different from my previous version of Audacity, but I'm living with it. So over here in the left-hand side, I've got this little box, and that tells you what your cursor is doing. So if you, when you click it, it becomes dark. So right now I have it on this vertical line, and that shows you that your cursor is going to be vertical. And let's see, I think I'll work on this other file because I've already got stuff done on that one. Let's see. So I'm going to click solo. With the new version, when you click solo, it mutes all the other files. Before, you could have more than one file in solo. So with this one, now I'm in solo. If I want to make a cut, wherever I've got my cursor, I can just go, let's see. Mostly I use like Command I. I think, is it Command I? Oh, I think, did they change it? Oh, hell. Now I've forgotten which Control I. Does anybody remember?
Control I is cut, right?
Yeah, but I don't know why it's not cutting. Oh, maybe because I don't have it highlighted. There we go. Okay, now.
I thought cut is Control X or Command X.
No, it's definitely
Control I is to make a splice.
Oh, got it.
Oh, now what's happening? Okay, that worked. It's just a little slow because things are, because Zoom is open and my computer is weak that way. So yeah, and then you can just, if you go back and you click on this double arrow, then you can reposition things. So you just pull them back and forth. And say you're working on a file and you want to move some things around. If you go to, let's see, where do I get add? Somewhere here, I have add. I've forgotten. Somebody give me a clue. I've forgotten where I hide the add new track.
Oh, it's under tracks.
Where do I see tracks?
Isn't it? We can't quite see the very top of your.
I'm going to.
There you go.
There it is. There it is.
Track up in the main menu up there. There you go.
Okay.
Oh, so when you full screen it, it hides that menu way up at the very top.
Okay, that's one of the things that annoys me about this computer. All right, so I got tracks. Add new track. Okay, I'm working in mono, which I really find very helpful. So because people tell me that if you have too many tracks in Audacity, it will crash. I have seen that happen. So working in mono really saves, then you can see more in your screen. I mean, if you're doing music, maybe that doesn't work for you, but all right. So then let's see, I'll go here. I'll make another click, Control I. Now, no, it's Command I. All right, so now I've got a section. I can just pull it down. So I use this blank track as my positioning window, and I can move things around and put them back. So that's a handy feature. And if I want to get rid of these divisions, I just use my main cursor and I click there and they're gone. So let's see. Now this one is one that I don't actually use it all that often, but say you've got a section that you want to adjust the audio levels on the fly. So you can, this will create a little click, and this will create one, and this will create one, and then I pull this up, and it so it allows you to shape a fade out or something like that. So that can be a really handy thing. Let's see, I'll just click undo a couple of, well, let's see, undo. Oh, it's just time consuming to get the undo to work.
Yeah, I think Control Z still does undo too.
Oh, okay. Good. Now, I never use this draw tool, and I don't use this zoom tool, although it's quite possible that it would be handy, but I use this zoom over here. This has got a zoom in. So if let me go back to here. So if I take an area and then I want to zoom in, well, it just zooms in on the whole file. But this is really helpful when you've got a little thunk in there someplace and you want to, what is that thunk, you say? And if you zoom in far enough, you can see this little thing right here. That might be a consonant or it might be just a noise. And so you can just take your cursor and highlight it. And then you use your little scissors, click, and it's gone. Or in case you want to undo it, you undo it. So that's another feature that's very handy. Now, yeah, zooming in and zooming out is really good because maybe you've got a label somewhere and you want to see it. You can just zoom out until you find that or whatever. And then fitting into the window is really important because maybe you've got some tracks that are longer and some tracks that are shorter and you want to see the full track that's shorter. So you highlight that track and then you use this one, which is to fit project to width. Mm-hmm. And there, it just shows you the full thing. It doesn't show you all the things that are off to the right-hand side somewhere on another track. So those are the main ones that I use there. Now, this creating silence is really useful. Well, obvious reasons. You've got some noise and you want to have a break anyway. You could just create some silence and trim audio outside selection. I just don't ever use that, but I guess it's perfectly reasonable to use. Paste, okay, cut, copy, and paste. I think that's self-evident that you want to use those things and they're right there. Now, one of the things that's tricky is sometimes you need to choose what your audio output source is going to be, and you can choose it here. If I don't have a headset in right now, but it'll allow me to switch from the headset audio to the internal audio, and the built-in. So it's got using the built-in microphone right now and the built-in output. And then this is, you can change your mic level and you can change your output level. This is some kind of a speed control thing, but I never touch it because I just never learned to use it. So those are the main things. Oh, here, this is really valuable. Length of selection. So down here, you've got length and end of selection. So on the, let's see, I'll make it bigger again. On the left, you can see the length of the selection is 3 minutes and 27 seconds and a little bit. And where it ends is at 21 minutes and 57 seconds. And also this will show you where your cursor is at any one time down here. And so that's very helpful. When you're trying to trim to length, you use this a lot.
Frida, can you give an example of when you would use that?
Well, let me see. All right, I have my maximum length is 28 minutes and 50 seconds. And so I'm trying to trim, say 10 seconds out. And I make a little cut and then I don't know if it's the right length. So I just highlight it and I see, okay, oh, now it's the right length, or now I need to cut 1 more second out, something like that. Also, well, if you've got a 3-minute restriction or whatever it is, you can use that a lot. Now this project right here, this is something I wanted to tell you about because, and maybe somebody knows another thing, but this, Pacifica audio port has a requirement that all the files have to be at 44.1 megahertz. And if you put in a file that's recorded at the wrong, I don't know what you call these. Anybody know what you call it?
That's the sample rate.
The sample rate, okay. So if it's at the wrong sample rate, you put in all your data and then at the end, you've uploaded your file and you get a rejection notice. And it's really ugly too. And you go, oh no. So occasionally that happens. Well, I mean, I try to always record in 44.1, but I get files from a lot of different people. And this one in particular is at 48 megahertz. And I didn't realize that until I had already done some editing to it. So in fact, quite a lot here. But I did discover once I export that, I did discover a technique that I wanted to tell you about. And that is that whatever audio you put into the window first will set this project rate. And so if I have any little bit of 44.1, maybe the Wing sound logo or something, I put that in at the top. And then when I pull my 48 megahertz file in, when I export it, it will be exported at 44.1 and it will be at the right speed. Because if I just change the project rate, it's going to play at the wrong speed. So anyway, that's my hot tip.
Could you go through that again? That was interesting. I didn't completely follow that. I mean, what I've been doing is it's interesting that the software used to automatically make 44.1 the default, but now it's changed to 44.8 as the default.
What software?
Well, if you just open up Audacity without anything in it.
Oh.
I found that it uses 44.8 as the default, which is kind of new. I noticed that happened about half a year ago or a year ago.
I think that's a preference you can set and it'll save that.
Right. So my question is, if you just put anything in there, and then if you just set the project rate down below at 44.1, doesn't that automatically convert everything, or is that a problem?
Well, it's been my experience that now, let me just say that I'm just using this computer and this software kind of for the first time, because the old computer that I liked that had the older software crashed. So then that one always defaulted at 44.1, but it also would set whichever file you put in first, it would set it at that project rate. So I'm not sure. Let me see if I just open another window. Let me minimize this a little bit and open another, let's see, here's Audacity. Let's see, trying to figure out how to open a new window.
I think if you go up to File and click on New, Frida, go up to the top.
Oh, okay. File.
And then
New.
New.
There you go. 44.1.
Yeah, yours did it to 44.1 by default. That's interesting. So
well, I have version 2.4.2 running in here.
Okay. So,
but there are later versions, I think. So maybe that's.
So my question is, if you take an audio file that has been exported at 44.8 and you drag it into here, and then this is the project rate at 44.1 and then exported with that, is that a problem?
Well, let me see, because what I'm thinking is that maybe it changes it to whatever the file you pull in. So let me see where the original of that file I just opened is. Let me see, it would be here. Okay. Show in Finder. All right, so there it is. Well, let's see what, where's the, hell. I hate when it does that. Well, let's see, where's my new window? There's my new window, there's my file. Okay, come on. This is the trouble with the new computer doing things that I don't want it to do. All right. I'm pulling it into Audacity. Now I'm going to look. It's opening it. And it opened it at 48.
Okay, so now if you go down there and change it to 44.1 again.
I can tell you from experience that it will play at the wrong speed.
What do you mean by the wrong speed?
Unless they've done something new since with this new thing. Okay.
So will that, are you saying it'll distort?
Sexual and reproductive health, for example,
were considered in foreign policy. I'm Sophia Vavaroutsos.
Well, that's interesting because it doesn't seem to have changed it, which it used to do. So it looks like.
I think you can just export it at the new sample rate, and I think it's okay.
Well, that'll save me a lot of work. All right. Okay. So I don't have to put in.
You didn't actually change it. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Down at the bottom, you see a project rate of 44,100. Now look at the far left of the track. It still says mono 48 kilohertz, 48,000 kilohertz.
Oh, okay. So it's gotten smart. Now it will play it at the speed it was recorded.
Yeah. If you want to change,
export the project rate.
Yeah. And if you want to change the track to 44,100, you have to click on Feminist Forever. There's a down arrow up there. Yeah.
It's actually feminist foreign policy, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Down at the bottom of that menu, rate.
It says rate. Yeah. Okay.
Now change that to 44,100.
Okay. Well, let's just try that and see if it changes.
Now it's going to sound too fast, I bet.
Unique needs were considered in foreign policy.
It's going to sound too slow.
Or too slow. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So let's undo that. And now we see it at 48. Okay. Great. I'm so glad we had this conversation.
Yeah. And another question that comes to mind now is, now that you've changed the project rate, will it export this 48 kilohertz sample as 44,100? I bet it will.
I'm sure
My experience has been that it does.
Tiny piece of it now.
Yeah. Okay.
And file, export, selected audio, and we'll do wave because it's faster. And where we're going to save it. We're going to save it on the. I'm going to save it as test. I have to keep .wave in the. God damn it. Excuse me. We want to save it to the desktop. Okay, don't worry about all that. All right, so now test is going to be on my desktop. There's the desktop. Just that for a minute. And these should be in alphabetical order. Let's see, test. Okay, I'm going to pull test into there. And now it shows it at 44.1. And solo, we'll just play it.
Policy. There isn't really kind of a found.
Yay.
So it sounds like it did the right thing. It resampled it to 44,100.
All right. I'll just mention one other trick that I can't do anymore because they took away the function. And that is the leveler function. And I used to use that as part of a trick to get rid of background noise because it would drop out everything below a certain volume. And so I would drop the whole file.
Frida, go to Effect.
Oh, Effect, yes.
Oh, the leveler is gone?
Yeah, leveler, they took it away. They said it caused distortion. Well, if you do it at full volume, it does cause distortion.
But compressor does essentially that.
Sorry, what does?
Compressor.
Yeah, but I think, let me see. I found something just recently that I think might deal with this. Let's see what. Okay, so I've got limiter, noise gate. I'm trying to remember which thing I found. Well, compressor, it's not that I want to compress it, but let me just see what it says.
Noise gate sounds like it might be that. It used
I'll tell you about gating.
Old analog days.
Gating only drops out the noise between
below a threshold.
Yeah. So, so if you have background noise, it drops out suddenly in between. So, but if you can get rid of everything below, you know, minus 70 dB or whatever it is, if you drop the whole thing, then you get rid of that and then you put it back up, you've actually lost some sound that you didn't want. But I'm trying to remember. Well, I'm sorry, I can't remember what it was.
If you scroll up, the what I use, scroll up, I do noise reduction.
Yeah, I used to do it as a two-step thing where at first I drop it out and then I do noise reduction.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, noise reduction can help. You have to identify what the sound is.
Yeah.
If you don't have, if there's something that's not in that sample, it won't be reduced. But well, anyway, somebody else tell some of your tricks.
I'll tell you one trick I found out, and I'm wondering if anybody else does this. When I started out, that, you know, there's always, like, when you're editing, sometimes you can't make a clean edit. Like if you want to cut out a sound or cut out or shorten a sentence, but you know, there's not you know, the words are run together. So it's hard to make a clean cut there because the sounds are kind of slurred together.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I found was when I did that, it would like make clicks and pops, you know, where there's a hard cutoff.
Yeah.
A click. And so like, I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do about that? And so what I've learned is that when I do that, if I take the last few milliseconds, just the last part of wherever I cut, and I do a fade out, it hides the click.
Yep.
Yes, I do use that.
Too?
I do use that, but there's another thing that I do sometimes, which is that I search for that same syllable somewhere else in the interview and plug it in, or a consonant.
Yeah, there's always that.
back when I worked as editing documentaries at NPR, you know, we were using open reel editing with razor blade, and I had Colleen Dewhurst had recorded something, and she only did one take of something, and she put the wrong consonant on the end. And I was so proud of myself because I found a T somewhere else and spliced it, and it worked, and you couldn't tell.
I know, it's kind of scary.
Now
right?
it's a lot easier to do it.
It sounds like deep fakes to me.
Yeah.
I know, it's one of the reasons that I don't really like to do interviews where I'm recorded anymore, because I know what can be done to what I say.
Now you have to be, I usually don't even tell people about this stuff because you have to be extremely ethical. You know, I don't teach anybody I don't really trust about that. But the whole world is like that now. Anything can be changed. And, you know, I try to only change it like by taking out ums and making people sound a little more brilliant than they were already.
One thing that comes to mind with several of these issues we've just talked about in the last few minutes is something I used to do way back when I was editing 16 millimeter film soundtracks. If you have a section of a few seconds of basically room noise, background noise, if you end up editing something that creates abrupt dropouts or changes, like you've taken out a syllable or something, mix some of that room noise back in. We'll cover it usually pretty well.
Yes. And sometimes you just find another piece of the room noise somewhere else and and move it over without having recorded any specially. But,
right. Yeah.
Cool. Anything else? I'm trying to figure out who else is there. I can't see names in this image. But well, I've already learned enough to make it worth being here.
Well, I'll share one of my keyboard shortcuts that I shared a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about this. I don't think we were talking about Audacity, but the conversation turned to it. And you can customize keyboard keystrokes. And I find that I like the up arrow and the down arrow for zooming in and out, because then you can just hit the keys really quickly and you don't have to go hunt for the mouse and try to zero in on that plus and minus on the magnifying glass. And I tend to use the keyboard a lot anyway. So if you go to edit preferences, if you want to do that, Frida.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is this only going to be for Audacity, or is it?
Yeah, it's only for Audacity.
Okay, so where do I see? Okay, edit. And then let's see.
I wonder if it's in Tools on the Mac, over to the right.
Yeah. Tools.
Oh, where do they put it? Maybe it's under the Audacity to the far left. Preferences.
Yeah. Oh, there's Audacity and then Preferences. Let's see.
And then way down at the bottom, Keyboard, third from the bottom.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
And then you can just search for where, you search for the thing you want to change. And then you just.
Oh my gosh. There's all these things. You could save project.
Yeah. Yeah. You can remap the whole key, all the keys, so that nobody knows how to use your certain instance.
Wow.
So that tells
Not
you
teaching
how to,
anybody that trick.
so that tells you how to connect the software to your keyboard.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it doesn't matter which keyboard you're using?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I think it figures out which one you've got hooked up. Yeah.
All right. Well, I will play with that later on. It's really nice to have keyboard.
It was worth it to me just to find out that you can drop the MP4 into there and separate the audio track.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That's great.
I need to do that often, so it's really helpful.
I think
and
that's
our
something
grad student.
I'm sorry. I think that's something that came with version 3 also.
Oh.
Our grad student who was so fast and such a pro on this graduated. So I need some tips because I got to do it myself again.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Let's see if there's anything else interesting. Oh, well, we haven't talked about the label track. And I do have a question about the label track. So let's do track, add new, label track. Well, actually, in this other window, I've already got a label track filled out. And what bothers me is that if I now go back and take something out of the track I have labeled, the labels will all be in the wrong place.
That's right.
There's got to be a way to make the label track run with, so if I take something out, it'll also take it out of the label track. Does anybody know how to do that?
I have never. Do you know, Fred?
Yeah, I do that a lot. As you're highlighting the place in the audio track that's above the label track, if you bring your cursor down into the label track at the same time, it'll then you do your delete or whatever, it will act on both.
Oops. What happened? Oh, it's just slow.
And it did it. I saw it do it. It popped it over. Oh, yeah. Fred, do you know if there's a label in the section that you have highlighted? Will it just delete the label?
It probably will do that, yes. So, you either accept that, depending on your intent, or you can move the label out of the way first.
But it seems to me that there was an effect, and maybe it was in some other software and not this one, where you could actually lock the tracks together.
Yes. Track lock, I think it's called. What is it?
Let's see, tracks.
I think it's under tracks. Sync lock at the bottom.
Sync lock tracks on and off. If I put it
you may have to have highlighted the tracks you want to sync. Can't remember. There it is. That little background.
These little lock things show that it's locked.
That indicates track lock.
Okay. So
when would you lock a track? Give me an example of when you would want to do that.
Well, let's say that I wanted to add something at the beginning, like my sound logo. So I could take time shift.
I see. And then just move the whole thing.
Except it's not moving. Oh, wait. Now it's moving this one and it's not moving the other one.
Yeah, I think you might want to highlight both of those tracks before you turn on sync lock.
Well, that's what I was trying to do.
Probably
this is on mute. Yeah, okay. And then if I mute the other ones. All right, now let's see.
Oh, now it's
It's still just moving this one. Yeah. Okay, we don't know anybody who knows the answer to that yet.
Well, go back up to tracks. It
well,
almost seems like they're not synced now.
Well, I think, Frida, what you first should do, Frida,
yeah.
First click the little eye that clears the time shifter. Yeah, you had it there. The little eye thing.
The vertical cursor, you mean?
Yeah. Okay, now try to highlight both tracks.
Highlight.
That one.
Highlight.
You might have to hold down, I don't know, in Windows, you hold down Control and then.
Okay, let's see. Control.
Sometimes Shift will do it too instead of Control.
Let's see the Shift.
There, looks like you've got.
Yeah.
This is something unrelated.
Looks like you've got both of the first two tracks.
Yeah. Now click on the time
highlighted.
Okay, let me quit this thing that popped up. Okay, so now click on the time shift, tracks, sync lock, and then, okay, here. No.
Oh, interesting. It looked like it was shifting the selected region, not the track itself.
Oh.
Which I think Sync Track will do that, actually, that you mention it.
Huh.
I'm just going by memory here, but.
Okay, well, it looks like it's on. But what is it syncing to? That's what I can't figure out.
Let's see. Let's see.
Aha, now I've got them both. Wait. Aha,
there you go. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, okay, so I used Command before I did the other track.
Yep.
Okay, so let me write down what I did. Okay, so you go to, I went to? Tracks?
Tracks.
Okay, tracks, and then sync lock, and then highlight, and then command, and then highlight, and then they should all be synced. Yay. All right, now, one more thing I want to know. If I make an edit now, let's see. Oh, and I cut it. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Anybody got anything else they want to talk about?
Can somebody explain what the compressor really does? I've never been able to understand what the
compressor will take the loudest parts of a selection, whether it's a whole music track or just part of it, but I tend to use it sometimes on a whole show if it needs it, or just sections of a show. But anyway, it'll take the loudest parts and bring them down. And at the same time, it'll take the quietest parts and bring them up in level.
So that's basically leveler.
Yeah, it's similar.
So what's the difference between the leveler and the compressor?
I don't really know, because I've never used the leveler very much. So there's some adjustments, configuration adjustments in compressor that will let you set how many dB of the loudest parts you want to impact, how much you want the lower parts to come up. And especially a really big one is the threshold, where you want it to either stop functioning and leave you want to leave the very quietest parts alone so they don't get brought up in an ugly way in a quiet passage. So you want to decide how soft you want it to be able to work at.
Okay, so I clicked compressor and opened it. Y'all, we're still screen sharing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So this, so
threshold is how impactful you want it to be on the loudest parts. The noise floor is, let's say, if you've got a speech track and there's really nothing important going on below 40 dB, you don't want it to bring that up. You only want it to impact between 40 and minus 12, or rather 0. How aggressive you want it to be is the ratio. 2-to-1 is pretty good. If you want it very gentle, a little less than 2-to-1, you can bring it up to 3-to-1, 4-to-1, and it'll sound like a really bad AM station.
So the noise floor, the noise floor is are the lower sounds?
Yes.
So that can actually do the thing that I was wanting to know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
It can, well, wait, does it actually cut it off, or it just doesn't affect
No, it doesn't. It doesn't cut it off. It's not a gate. What it does is below that threshold, it just stops changing it.
Okay.
And I usually don't use makeup gain for 0 dB after compressing. You can experiment and, see what the impact is. I usually use compress based on peaks to get the effect that I want. And sometimes what I'll end up doing then is using amplify to bring the whole thing down again 2 or 3 dB. Again, if it's appropriate. I have to look at, I do some classical music, and there's some really quiet passages sometimes. And I've got to bring those up so the transmitter silence detector doesn't get triggered.
So how do you do that?
So I do that by, I use compress based on peaks, and I look at the loudest parts of the passage that I need to bring down maybe 10 dB, and then letting the rest of it come back up without being squashed, just being louder.
Can you use compressor to do all of that?
Yes.
Because what I do is I go through and I'll take a peak like that and I'll use hard limiter on it. And then I'll go through at the end and I'll look at the soft passages and I'll do like this, and I'll just raise them 1 or 2 dB at a time until I'm satisfied that it sounds okay. But that's very fiddly stuff.
And so compressor will do that for you.
But are there risks with it?
Sure, there are risks with anything. It will change the sound a little bit, and that's why you kind of have to be gentle with it. Don't ask it to do too much,
and probably listen to it with a good set of headphones while you're working on it. I just pasted a link in the chat. There's a pretty good discussion of all this stuff also on the Audacity forum.
Let's see how yeah, my eyes tend to glaze over when I look at the Audacity forum. There's so much there, but and
some people get way deep into the weeds, and I'm with you on that, Frida. Sometimes it's a little too much.
Fred, what is the difference between the compressor and the normalizer then?
I haven't used the normalizer very much, but my understanding is that the normalizer will look at the overall level of a track and say, I want the peaks to be at a consistent level, but it doesn't change the relative highs and lows within the track. It just brings the whole track up or down to the maximum level that you set.
I think that's right. Yeah, I used to use it. I've forgotten
Which again, there's 3 different ways to do everything. You would use Amplify to do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. There was something else that just came to my mind about effects. Oh, yeah. Oh, there's some good stuff in here, like change pitch. I use that sometimes if I've got a audio off of a cassette and maybe the speed doesn't sound as if it's exactly right. Use that. But you can also, but you can also change speed. So there's times when you want to do that. And change tempo is really good. Like say, you're just like 2 seconds short of your minimum length, you can use change tempo, and it's like changing the speed of play on the, adjusting on a reel to reel, you know, it just.
Well, is change tempo something that'll change the time without changing the pitch?
Yes, exactly.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's see, okay, we were looking at compressor. Okay, fade in, fade out. You were saying that's one of your favorites, Ursula, and it certainly is a great one. So I use it all the time. Oh wait, you have to select the audio, cancel. But yeah, I'll just demonstrate it since we might have newbies. Okay, wake up. All right, so just you mark out what you want, and then you use fade in, and it just uses a strict linear fade in. So where did I have it?
Yeah.
Effect. Yeah. Fade in. Okay, there it is. Just blink, change. Yep. Yeah, it is very helpful for lots of things, and also fade out if you've got music you want to duck out slowly and stuff. Yeah.
Have you ever used auto duck?
I have not, and sometimes I click it by accident. Is it something you like?
I do. If you've got a music bed and you want somebody talking over it, that's what auto duck helps you do.
It brings up the music in the silences?
It can do that, or more to the point, it brings down the music when the person's talking. So 6 of 1, half a dozen.
Does it recognize the music and differentiate that from the speech?
Yes, if they're on different tracks, they have to be on different tracks.
Oh, okay.
Each other. Yeah.
So where is that, Fred?
That's under effects.
And it's called
auto duck.
Interesting.
Second one down.
Oh, there. Yeah.
So if you put music under talking, it'll fade it down while somebody's talking?
So the way it wants to work is you have to have the music track above the voice track.
Oh.
And then you highlight the portion of the tracks that you want to impact. And then you set the amount of ducking that you need, which depends a lot on how the 2 tracks sound relative to each other.
That might be something that I could use with overdub translation.
Mm-hmm.
I might try it with that.
So do you highlight the music or the talking part?
You highlight the music, and with the talking, whatever the talking part is that's just below that music is what will control the ducking effect.
Okay, and then the main talking track under, and then you can set. I'm going to try that because I've got a show coming up with a lot of original language and some overdub translation.
Oh, that should work for that. Yeah.
That would be fun. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to look at any other effects? Let's see. Well, we don't need to do distortion, echo, equalization. I have not found the equalization to be very good on Audacity these days.
I've used FilterCurve and I've used graphic EQ and notch filter, mostly FilterCurve when I need to correct something. Since Zoom days, there's a huge variation in the quality of tracks I have to work with.
So
what does FilterCurve do?
It's basically a treble and bass adjuster. It's like tone controls, but it's something where you can take your cursor and alter the shape of the curve. So if you want a gentle roll off down to 50 hertz, if you want a gentle increase around between 1,000 hertz and 5,000 hertz, you can just set the shape of the curve.
Can you
visually
see? Yeah, can you see this, what I'm doing?
Yes.
Is big enough? Okay. So yeah, you can basically just drag the curve in any shape you want.
Yeah.
And this is what...
is this volume?
I was looking for this. It used to have a different name.
It's relative volume, but along the spectrum of different frequencies.
Yeah. Now, where this is really useful is when, let's see, let me get rid of this for a moment. What's happening here? Yeah, ooey.
Just cancel your.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
So when you use, where is it? It's analyze. And then you can do plot spectrum. And say you've got a noise that's underneath everything and you want to know what it is so that you can, then you use the filter curve to get rid of it. So,
or you would use a notch filter probably in that case.
Is there a notch filter here? Oh, good. So. I used to have an analog notch filter. Well, okay, so let's do effect.
Maybe it's not in that version.
There it is. It's down here.
Oh, it's okay. Down there. Yep.
Oh, boy.
So you can set the center frequency and you can set the width of the filter.
Yes. And so, so this is the filter. The frequency is the one you're taking out.
Or adding in. I guess you can go either way.
So 60 hertz is the interference from the electrical system that you get.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's why it pops up, because that's the most likely one you want to get rid of.
Right.
And the Q is how much on either side of that sound you're taking out. Oh. I'm so excited.
And if you've got hum, it's most likely not pure 60 hertz. It's probably got some 120 hertz in there and maybe beyond.
Yeah, but you can use the analysis to find out where they are.
Which is a good point because I've never done that.
Okay. Thank you.
Here's a little quickie that I learned not too long ago. If you've got a piece and somebody swears like maybe just once or twice in a half-hour show, and it might not even be a forbidden word, it might just be inappropriate or something, you don't want to necessarily cut it out, but I forget who it was that taught me. It might even have been you, Sharon. I don't know if you're listening. Just highlight the expletive. You know, if somebody says shit, just highlight that word and use the reverse effect, and it won't be recognizable. You'll still hear the person saying something, but you won't be able to recognize what they said.
I have done that before, but there's also generate.
Yeah, right.
And generate will allow you to generate a tone.
Sure. Yeah, then you just beep it out.
And then you can choose the tone. Let's just do one.
Where is the reverse effect, David?
It's under effects.
Oh, okay.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's just choose. Well, I don't want to do that right now. Let's see. Where is reverse? There it is. Reverse. You have to select the audio and then it reverses it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just the same thing as like running a reel-to-reel tape deck backwards.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's cool.
So you're saying something, but you're saying it backwards, so you can't really understand it.
So if they say Tish.
Yeah. Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah. Now Tish will become a swear word and eventually it'll get on the list.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so we're just going to look down the list of things. Oh, this invert might be useful if you wanted to get rid of something, because the two can cancel each other out if you put the inverted one underneath. Not that I'm doing that anytime lately. Okay, loudness normalization, noise reduction. Now the noise reduction is really useful, but it does tend to kind of gate it, as I said. But if you select,
you have to use it very carefully because it turns you into a tin can, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to go for the minimum possible.
That's right. Yeah. That's why I liked it to be able to drop out everything below minus 20 dB, so that then when you apply the minimum, it was more effective.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
Hey, Frida, you mentioned that the leveler was removed because it distorted the audio.
Yeah.
I was reading in that forum post that there actually is a leveler in the distortion effect. So if you highlight something and then select the distortion effect, and then you can choose distortion type leveling. That's the distortion type is a drop-down menu. There's a leveler choice there.
There it is. Oh my dear, thank you.
Though it doesn't have to be distortion necessarily.
Correct. Yeah, your mileage will vary, I'm sure, but it might just work for you.
So the noise floor, yeah, minus 70 or anywhere between minus 80 and minus 20. What I was doing, because the thing was very inexact, was dropping the level of the whole track down to minus, close to minus 20, and then using leveler on it. But it was very inexact. I'm going to try using this level. It's under distortion. All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Let's see what other effects we've got. Oh, repair is useful. It actually works. So if you had a peak that was cut off, and you can hear that, I don't know what to call it, but you can hear when the peak has been cut off and doesn't sound right, and you can make it restores the curve to the peak, so it does make it sound much better. And let's see. Oh, truncate silence. Well, I guess if you have too much silence in there, you can use that. All right, there's a bunch of other stuff in here. There's a graphic EQ. I've been using that because I couldn't find the other ones.
Yep.
How do you use that, Frida?
You just kind of grab and pull. So let me see if I can make this larger. Yeah.
My sense is that it's kind of like the one that where you draw the line, you pull the line, the levels to the levels you want. I forget what that one's called. But that this one just has
the FilterCurve, and this one is the old graphic EQ, like in the
so
days.
I think of those, each of those dots as like a slider on a board,
right?
Except that you're not changing levels of channels, you're changing levels at different frequencies,
right?
Yeah. So if you want to drop out everything below a certain pitch, but maybe you want to gradually drop it out, you just kind of you generate the curve like this. You don't have to put your own dots in.
And I haven't compared the graphic EQ with the FilterCurve myself, but I would be tempted to try to do the same thing with each one and see how different they sound.
Yeah, that'd be a good test.
Send an email when you get it.
Let us know.
Yeah. Let's just see if there's any more effects we want to look at here. Okay, we looked at distortion. I don't know what some of these things are, but maybe, oh, there's a low pass thing that should probably do instead of what we were just showing. There's
I think
another kind of peak limiter.
Yeah, they've some of these high pass and low pass are probably just prefab filters that so you don't have to do your own.
Right. There's crossfade, clips. I think finding this, and if you don't use it very often, it's.
I do use Clip Fix.
Oh yeah.
And I find it can be helpful. You know, if I get a piece of audio that's too hot, sometimes it'll help.
Was there another thing that was Clip Fix? Was there a Clip Fix up here? I thought. Oh, it was repair. Repair and Clip Fix, it seems to me, are kind of the same thing.
Sometimes it works. You know, sometimes I can redeem something that's pretty bad.
Yeah, I think I'll look into that.
There's some interesting ones down the bottom there that I've played with a little bit. I'm probably not qualified to exactly explain how to use them. But the spectral edit multi-tool and the other spectral edit things.
Let's just see if we can look at it. Spectral edit.
It's further down, yeah. But the thing with those is it's going to tell you there to use spectral edit. So you have to enable that over on the left-hand side of the track where the drop-down list. You can go down.
I don't have the track highlighted.
No, you don't need to. You just choose spectrogram.
Spectrogram. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Have you done this, Dave?
A little bit. I've just sort of played with it. I didn't actually do it on a project. But now, if you do the spectral edit effect, you can. Oh, you might have to select it. I forget.
You may have to select.
Yeah, there you go.
The portion. Well, there it is. It's doing something. But this is another place where, say, you have that 60 hertz hum or some other particular sound that you want to cut out. This is another way to view it, and then using the spectral edit process to take it out. And you can easily go too far and make the whole track sound awful, but
I'm surprised how it looks.
You have to work with it.
I'm surprised at how it looks because, I mean, what do these colors and things represent? Is that background noise?
It's whatever audio is in the track.
Yeah, I think I don't really know anything about this, but I think the color represents the level, the intensity, the loudness of the audio. So it's like
the lowest frequencies are at the bottom, the highest frequencies are at the top.
Yeah.
Oh, there's something in the middle there. There's a little dotted line in the middle.
I think you just put that there by clicking on it.
Oh.
I think that's your editor. You're in edit mode, spectral edit mode.
Okay.
Yeah, now you're back out of it.
So that's something that takes a good deal of playing around with too.
You have to be highly motivated.
Make it useful.
Yeah, I've seen every once in a while somebody will show off the audio they've created and they can actually draw pictures in the spectrogram.
Oh my.
It's pretty bizarre. So you listen to it and it's, like a musical piece, but then you bring it up in Audacity or you display it with a spectrum analyzer and there's actually like an image of somebody's face or something.
Wow.
All right. So we looked at that. We looked at analyze. Oh, you can find clipping with analyze. You can find the beat. And silence and let's see, tools. Macros. Oh, those are your keyboard strokes, I guess.
No, macros are actually like doing automating sequences of tasks. It's kind of like macro. It's kind of like, in a usual use of the term macro is like press one key and have it do 10 things in a row. And that's in that way, it's kind of similar, but it's like storing a whole bunch of commands and then applying them as a unit to a piece of audio.
Okay. Screenshot. Oh, I didn't know it would do screenshot in there. That could be really useful. Maybe, well, not, I was thinking I would be more likely to use it not for Audacity, but for something else. Maybe if you're doing training, you'd want that. Let's see, Nyquist sample data export. Oh, go. Let's see if there's anything else. Tracks, mute, unmute. Oh, well, these are things you can do over here. We didn't really look at the pull down menus, so maybe we should do that. So name, move track up. Oh, move track up, move track down. Now, I have seen it demonstrated, but I don't remember how to do it. If you want to move a track up more than one, okay, move track up. Oh, there's move track to the top.
Mm-hmm.
So the move track up, but there used to be a thing where you could just drag the track to where you wanted it. And it seems to have disappeared, or else I don't know where to find it anymore.
Try grabbing like in the white space on that bottom track.
Yeah.
Just click there and drag it up. I think it'll go.
There's a hand.
Yeah.
Oh, goody. All right. Huh.
I think you have to be in like that left-hand part.
Yeah. No.
And not on like a control. Yeah.
Right.
And that's useful if you're trying to use AutoDuck, because the tracks have to be in the correct relationship to each other.
They've made these so that there's not much space for your cursor.
Yeah, right.
And without hitting something anymore. That, oh hell. I'm just going to use undo to put that back where
I wonder if the size of the cursor is configurable, because mine isn't that big.
It is configurable, and I made it bigger because of my eyes.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, but still, I
So,
think it's mighty small. That the older version had a more space around the controls in there.
well, I have a friend who's a lawyer, and he's working on 3 or 4 really complicated documents at the same time, and he has a set of really huge monitors in front of him.
Oh.
So if you want the Audacity to be as big as your cursor,
just get a bigger monitor. Yeah, oh, that's a possibility. I have a friend who does some kind of stock trading thing and has 3 monitors, you know, but it's a lot of clutter. All right, well, let's see.
You guys, this is a little bit not about Audacity, but you were talking about the MP4. Do you guys use 4K video downloader to download videos and audio?
No, tell about it.
Oops. That's a really, really nice piece of software.
And frameworks that can actually be implemented. It's sort of more of a rhetorical interest.
Hey, Frida, I think you hit the space bar.
At this year's Generation Equality Forum, Libya has committed to a feminist.
Sorry. Say that again.
4K video downloader is free software that you can download. And it essentially allows you to download video and audio and you know, turn it into a file that you can use on your computer.
Is that something you buy?
It's free. I mean, you can, it's like everything else, you can buy upgraded versions of it, but the basic service is free.
Okay, the reason I asked that is because there used to be other things like that, and they got hacked, and so you were getting viruses.
Well, no, Frida, the advantage of this is, I know what you mean. There used to be a lot of websites that you could go to use to download from YouTube and everything else, and yes, those get hacked, and so we stopped using those because it was really dangerous. But if you download 4K video, that's software that's on your computer. So it doesn't get hacked. It's not online. It's software that you can download on your computer and use. So we switched to that because then you avoid the whole hacking issue. And there's a version of it that downloads audio. There's various versions of it. And you can kind of play around with them, but they're free. And that's a safe way to download stuff, both video and audio.
From any source that you find online?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, as long as they haven't put up some sort of protection, you know.
Right. So it's kind of
go
like
to YouTube,
Media Human.
Yeah, I mean, some people put up, you know, firewalls against being
Right.
downloaded, but most things don't. So you can do that.
So you're saying you can download YouTube that way?
You can, yeah, absolutely. As long as YouTube, I mean, you know, some people put up firewalls, but most people.
But you still, oh yeah, but you still can't use it legally.
Well, that's your permission. Call.
Yeah, it depends on the copyright. It depends on the copyright on the piece.
Yeah.
Oh, right. And the other thing is if you're using a very small amount in a news story or something.
Yeah. But if you go online and you look up 4K video downloader, you'll see there's a few different versions that you can download, and they're all free. And
do you have a preferred one?
What?
Do you have a preferred one?
Well, there's a basic one that you can use for audio, and it gives you a choice whether you're doing audio or video. But for some reason, I found one day that it wouldn't download a certain type of video that I needed. And so I went back to their website and I found there was another version that I could download that was specifically for the video I needed.
Mm-hmm.
So the basic one I think is green. I think there's 3 options there or something like that. Let me take and the green one is kind of your basic one. But then one day I found it didn't work for something. So I went to the other one that was specifically for video, and that worked. So you kind of, I mean, it's very, very simple. You can play around with it and see what you like. Like I said, it doesn't cost anything for the basic service. But the advantage is that it's software on your computer and you're not going online and getting hacked. Because you definitely don't want to do it online. People have gotten way too, wise to that.
Mm. Anything else?
It's a lot. I mean, you can go on forever here, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a great start. I really appreciate everything I learned today.
Me too.
Yeah, this is great.
Thank you. Okay, well, I think my brain is full.
Yeah, it's been almost an hour and a half, so I'm okay if you guys are finished. We can keep going, but it's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
I need to get outside, get some fresh air.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day here.
Same here.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks,
Frida.
You.
The guinea pig here.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Fred.
Lots of great information, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do it again sometime. Okay.
We'll do it again. Okay. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
See ya.
Yeah.